we are on our first day of flatbedding. We got our first load. We are headed out to said first load, and we'll see how this goes. We ain't gonna need to touch a fuel station for quite a while. I put 80 gallons in last night. Unfortunately, most of what was in that jug, there was a lot of coolant in it, and we're trying to work out the kinks with the transfer tank, so I do need to replace one fitting, and I will have a transfer auxiliary pump. I ordered one off of Amazon, and we will install that when we get back to Harrisburg, so we'll be able to, it won't be a gravity feed anymore like it is now. All right, so we're picking up from Mannheim. We gotta go in. We came into the wrong spot, but I had no idea. So I'm gonna cruise around the block here, go pull into the right spot, and then we're gonna get loaded. I haven't even seen what I'm picking up yet, and I hope it's not gonna put me overweight, but it probably is. I hope not, so we will see. Stuff you'll see at the, I believe this is the auto auction, Mannheim. So, just looking for a white GMC 5500. So, I think it's definitely down here. They got a GPS on it and everything, so we're looking. I think that's gonna put me right at my weight limit, but, and I don't know how they do these either. I don't know if there's any keys inside of them, or I had to go get them. I don't know. He just told me I walked through the gate and follow the GPS. Looks like I'm 670 feet away. So, should be up here. Well, why do I get myself in these situations? This load came up. If something's too good to be true, generally it is, right? Because this takes me right to Philadelphia, which means I can be home in between, and then when I get home, take it wherever I want. So, capacity on my truck is like 12,000 pounds on the trailer between everything. So this is what we're taking, and I'm hoping like hell this works out. So we'll see how it loads on the trailer. Can't say I've ever driven one of these. This is kind of neat. Can't see anything out that mirror over there. Can't see anything out this mirror here, but you know, whatever. Got a full tank of diesel. That sucks. That sucks. We don't want that. That means more weight, and I don't know how much these things can hold, so I'll have to look that up. But we want this thing to be as light as possible, so this should put us right at our max. This will be fun. Not looking forward to this. All right, first one with the new trailer. Looks like it's sitting pretty good without the bags, so not too bad. I got one chain in the front, the winch, 2 straps, and then 2 chains in the back. So for what it is, ain't too bad. It doesn't seem like it's too heavy. Tires look fine. So we've got a wee bit of overhang. Might throw a red rag on there, I don't know yet. Probably gonna throw a red rag on there, but yeah, so we're gonna get going for the night. I wanna go stop and get some food and then go from there. So let's go. All right guys, so I put the fuel tank in. We put about 80 gallons in it last night and then let 35 flow down, and it ended up leaking from that fitting right down there where the hose clamps at, so I'm gonna put a bigger one. Also, it ended up overflowing the fuel tank, so I know we'll have to put a shutoff on it because that shutoff's kind of shot. I do have it in the off position now, but I'm gonna have to replace that fitting. But we are also going to be replacing this with a transfer pump. So I will do an auxiliary pump up here, and then we can just fill the tank directly. I will keep, once I replace the fitting, I will end up keeping the gravity feed, but I'm gonna mainly leave it off and only use it in like an emergency situation, say the pump goes bad or something. But that's gonna be how I'm gonna do it from this point on. So that works for me, but that's insane. We can haul 140 gallons. I'm gonna get a scale ticket for this guy here, and depending on what it is, we'll determine if I'm gonna show you guys or not for legal reasons. But the axles were cold when I actually came and like when I got here, so I've already driven 300 some miles, so axles have been completely cold. Truck's squatting a little bit, but nothing much I can do without the airbags. right, so real quick, I want to show you guys the sensor that's leaking. You guys can see this sensor right here. That's where the coolant leak is coming from. No head gasket, none of that shit. It's not blown into the reservoir. It's literally just that sensor. So I'm sick of dealing with it. Gonna JB weld it tomorrow. And in the future, I want to find a better spot to put the temp sensor, because that is not a good spot at all. But it's not gonna hurt anything. Technically, it would be a permanent fix if sensors didn't fail, but it's not a big deal. So we're gonna get that taken care of, because I'm gonna drive through the night, and then tomorrow I'm gonna stop for a little while. And yeah, I'll basically just be night driving until I get home on Thursday. It's actually Wednesday right now, so I'll be home tomorrow. So I'll be able to drive one shift, drive till like 6, 7 in the morning, and then I'm gonna cruise around 8 or 9 tomorrow night, or tonight night, I guess. So, all right, I refuse to show you guys this scale ticket. I refuse, absolutely. So unfortunately, we're a little higher than I thought I was, but yeah. So I mean, I might post it on Facebook and Instagram for anybody that wants to know. But unfortunately, I cannot post this to YouTube because I don't feel like having any issues with anybody. So we're gonna run it. I got about 925 miles to go. That's gonna be that. All right, so I'm getting up ready to leave. We're figuring out this fuel tank. Last night, the truck was shutting off and running out of fuel. And then I realized, because, so if you guys can see this, way down there, you can see the valve handle's broken off and there's no stop for it. So apparently when I turned it on for fuel to drain, I actually ended up going too far and shutting it back off. So now we've got everything fixed. There was a leak on that hose right there. There was a tiny little slice in it, so we cut out about this much of the hose. So now it's perfect. We should have no more issues, and I can finally actually fill this tank and see what it's gonna cost. The other day I threw, it was like 255 bucks for 80 gallons, but that was before my discount, so I don't know what the actual charge is gonna be. So I think before I get into PA, I'm gonna fill this tank 100%. That way I don't have to get PA fuel. So this load right here is the heaviest load that I have had this year between the trailer and this truck that's on the back. And realistically, the truck accelerating doesn't really feel it. So I'm gonna tell you guys we're right on 26,000, okay? That's what I'm gonna tell you guys. For legal reasons, it's 100%, it's right at 26,000. So, and it's 12.7 high, so it actually, it hasn't given me any issues with acceleration or too many EGT problems at all. Like, I've just been doing 62 because I'm worried about the tires, 62 to 65, but realistically I was able to get it to 70 once or twice by accident, and I didn't want to get it that high, so we're gonna stay around 62 to 65. I got about 660 miles till I'm home, and then we'll probably end up dropping this on like Saturday or Sunday, but I'm ready to get this thing off my trailer. So, and for those of you saying about the 40 footer as opposed, because this is a 32 footer, yes, I know, you got to get what you can get, okay? If I could get a 40 footer, absolutely I would, but right now a 32 footer was available, okay? So don't give me any shit for that. I've had a 40 footer before, absolutely loved it. I had an Iron Bull triaxle. Absolutely love that trailer, but unfortunately it will eat through bearings and tires. So I wanted one in a lift axle, but apparently I might just get a tandem just like this with the drive over fenders like I used to have, and I like that, so that works for me. So I'm gonna go over some numbers with you guys. I'm sitting at 199 on the coolant temp, 62 mile an hour with just under 1,000 on the EGTs, just about 1,000. So we're doing pretty good, 1,664 RPM. It really doesn't feel it all that much back there. Like if you drive it like you're supposed to, just kind of like ease into each shift, you know, be nice to it. It's not really a race. It does pretty damn good. I mean, on some of most of the hills, I'm climbing it a lot better than I do some of these lighter campers. So I'm happy with that. We'll see if I have to go out west or not, see how it handles like some of these taller loads, but I'm really hoping to stay east, so I shouldn't have those issues anymore. But yeah, 26,000 pounds, it's doing pretty decent. I'm gonna fill the fuel tank sometime before I get into Pennsylvania. Doesn't seem like, if I can find any fuel for under $3 a gallon, I'm filling that tank. Because everywhere is like $3 is the cheapest I've seen it, and that's off my route. So I've seen like $3.19, $3.20, $3.30. Like I'm trying to find it for pretty cheap, and I'm just gonna fill all 140 gallons before I hit PA. That way I have a decent, oh, train tracks, please don't be brutal. Oh, thank fuck. Yeah, so, and then when I got home, I just ordered airbags and a new 5-inch clamp for, we're gonna put the tailpipe back on finally. And we're gonna do it right this time so it doesn't fall off like it did last time. So, aside from that, we're pretty good. I wanna see how, I'll probably end up dropping this off long before I get the airbags, because they won't be here till Saturday and it's Wednesday right now. So I'm gonna try to drop this off on Saturday if I can. So we'll see how that goes. All right guys, sorry if you can't see me very well. So for some reason the truck decides that it likes to shut off when it's below a half a tank of fuel. It's just been doing that the past little while. It's obnoxious, yes, and we don't have enough fuel in the reserve tank to actually drain down. I am just gonna be running a fuel pump for it anyway, and like the one that I have to manually put it in. So I am gonna run that at some point, but for now it's just getting obnoxious with that. So I'm gonna go drain the fuel out into a gallon jug and dump it into the tank. So basically just trying to figure stuff out and figure out what works the best, but I'm assuming that there was a little bit of rust in the bottom of that tank and it's getting stuck up, or there's some debris in the tank. So it's obnoxious, but it is what it is. This is the stuff you're gonna go through when you're working on, you know, building up a truck to be perfect, and every time you do something new, you know, a new problem's gonna arise with it. So it's just one of those things, you gotta learn to accept it. And in the end, it's always worth it, because every time you fix a problem, it makes your life a little bit easier. So this is what we're working on, is the auxiliary fuel tank. So not a big deal. I got about 100 miles till the TA, and I'm gonna fill the tank completely. Let's get this done. This is the cheapest fuel station for a while, so this is where we're gonna fill out at. We made it. It's our second $100. And I got about 3.5 hours until I am home. It's gonna be sweet this weekend since we got the airbags coming, and we'll be able to put the exhaust back on out the back as opposed to an axle dump. But the truck's actually pulling this load that's 26,000 pounds a lot easier than it actually pulls the campers, like I said earlier. So that's actually pretty sweet. I was kind of worried about that, especially something that's like 12.7 high. So yeah, it's definitely pulling it pretty damn good. So if we can get some lighter loads that are, I would say, not as tall, I feel like it'll pull it pretty decent. So, and we should have a lot less problems because of a lot less stress on the equipment and whatnot. So, but I'm really hoping to be home for a little bit, because I have been gone just about 4 weeks now, which is a lot longer than usually I spend out on the road. Usually I do 3 to 3.5 weeks, then I stay home for 2 weeks. But definitely gonna have to find an income source when I'm home because of everything that's going out. This next week, money's going in all directions, so that's kind of a pain. But besides that, everything's going pretty damn good. So the reason it's shutting off at below a half a tank, now I see why. The fuel pump don't work. So if I turn the key on, I don't hear no fuel pump. So that explains why the truck is dying out at a low tank, which is weird because it should be dying out like in general. I'm surprised it actually even runs at all. So this is kind of surprising that it at least gets me somewhere. So I'm gonna figure this out. My tailgate came open last night and a lot of shit blew out, and I'm really hoping that harness was not in that, because I would 100% reuse that harness and put it all back in, because the crank sensor's been awesome. So I might just do that. Let me see if I can find it. Guys, look what I found. It was in the toolbox. I was smart about it. So I'm gonna go put this back in, and we'll see how that goes. All right, good news and bad news. Bad news is the pump doesn't work at all. Good news is I still had the wiring, but you guys already saw that. So the pump doesn't work at all. I don't know if it was a wiring issue or not. I put the factory wiring back in and did the jumper across the relay. The gauges came on. I had the key on, hold on a second. The gauges came on, but the fuel pump did not. So let me try this one more time and hopefully the fuel pump comes on. If it doesn't, we have a bad fuel pump. So key is off, we have gauges. Basically this fuse right here. So here's the relay. Ran the jumper wire across the relay harness and no fuel pump. So one of these two wires is the fuel pump wire. Put this relay back. And unfortunately, we got nothing. So we are dead in the water. I'm gonna plug this back in. I didn't hook all the wiring up, but deleted Freightliner Cascadia. They kind of sound good, but I couldn't imagine driving one of them. So I guess we found out what was wrong, and that sucks. We probably need a fuel pump. So that means my cheap ass is not replacing the fuel pump. We're gonna redo the sump. So what I'm gonna do, because I'm gonna do this now, I will take, you guys can see the line here from the fuel tank. I'm gonna take that and plumb that into the filler neck. The shutoff lever is down there. And then, yeah, so then we'll take that line there that I have teed off and we'll run that up to the front, and then we'll get rid of the fuel pump. It sucks because it made a lot of power with the fuel pump. Now we're just gonna make it off of the factory lift pump in a tank. So that sucks, but whatever, we got this. All right, so you can kind of see what's going on. We have the line going down there and we have it plumbed into the filler neck. So from the sounds of it, it is draining into the tank. So, and, ooh, that was a good catch. In about 20 minutes or so, we should have a full tank of fuel sitting there. I don't know, what do you think? Should I just drive it while it's draining into the tank? It's not a complete seal the whole way around, so I don't know how much I actually trust it. This sucks. So guess we got a project. So more content I get to make for you guys. What do you guys actually think about this thing? You know, since I won't tell you the actual weight, you guys can guess the weight down below, but I'm not going to tell you who's right or who's wrong. So these chains are, these are weird, by the way. These are really weird. Like, you got to get it on the perfect one, and then I don't have the bar for it, so I got to rip it back myself. Kind of sucks, but see, we got one on this side too. We got two straps. Look at that, got a strap on there. Look at this engine. It's slowly making its way out of the housing. I think I'm gonna have to fix that. That's annoying. I got another strap on that side. Look at the meats. We lost a mud flap. This one's still on here. I'm gonna end up taking this one off too. You don't need mud flaps. Lost a bunch of cleaning supplies. This trip, the second I start shooting for home is when it turns into a shit show. So you guys wonder why I say it is what it is a lot, but yeah, this is a damn shit show on this one. I didn't have near this many problems until I was headed home. Well, the second I headed home, bam, problem after problem. It is what it is. We fixed the problem. So I was able to get the hose clamp tight enough around the other, so both, there's no leaks, let's put it that way. So now I'm gonna cruise until it says it's full, and then I'm gonna go back there and shut it off. All right, so the tank is filling up now. It's at like 71, 73%, something like that. So that's pretty cool. I just need to know to stop when it hits, I'm gonna say once it hits like 90%, I'm gonna start trying to find a place to stop. And then we get to hook up the sump again. So I regret hooking that sump up before. And now I'm just like, now I'm really glad I hooked the sump up. Because without the sump, I'd be replacing the fuel pump, and I don't feel like doing that. So I guess we're just gonna not have a fuel pump, which kind of sucks, but we'll just run the one on the side of the block like, you know, a factory 12 valve does, and we'll just live with it because we're too cheap to replace the pump. So I do want to make mention for the guys that saw my little experimental, that concoction the other day in the last video, right? So we thought that was transmission fluid, and that was basically 5 full gallons of red coolant. So we got some nice clean pistons now. Clean the pistons, clean the valves off, you know. Doing good. It burns great once you mix enough oil with it. We're climbing a big hill now. Big hill. Alright, we're on back road 74 south, headed to Carlisle. We're like 40 minutes from home. So now we're starting to cruise, but we got to the point where it was like, it was making some noises. I'm gonna leave her in third and just let the equipment relax as opposed to trying to beat the hell out of it. So I would like to check the transfer case fluid, because I don't know if there's any in it, to be honest. It's kind of been making some noises, and I know I'm kind of neglectful, but my logic is if it blows up, I'll just replace it. But hopefully it lasts another 27 miles till we get home. Yeah, here we go. Now we're gonna start. Now we're gonna start making some noises. That hill. Pretty steep. I'm just gonna cruise 25 mile an hour, 1900 RPM. That's good for me. 1000 on the EGTs. Coolant's definitely gonna get hot because I put the last of my coolant in this morning sometime. So also the truck is a little wounded from not having the secondary fuel pump in the tank. So curious to see how it runs on straight sump. But we shall see. I want to redo all the fuel lines, and it should be a good time. There we go. We got some twisties in the map. Just following nicely. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but yeah, we're following the line pretty good. So this is a long mountain. I remember this mountain. I haven't been on it in a while, but good God. We're gonna be stretching her legs for a little while. All right, we just hit a really steep spot. We're dragging her down. I can feel that. So 222 on the coolant temp. I'm hoping there's a pull off at some point, because if not, that shit's gonna hit 240, 250 if I don't calm her down. So we'll see just how she wants to do. We're at 224 right now. Not a worrying point yet, but we're gonna hit 230 pretty quickly. All right, so there was a spot to stop, like right around that curb. Hopefully nothing's coming back. I just would like to make sure that we're not gonna get her too hot. Oh yeah, there we go. There you go. We hit 230. I knew it. I was like, we're definitely gonna hit that. We'll be all right. We just need to let that cool down a little bit. All right, she calmed her down a little bit. I put it in low and then went from first, second to third. So I'm just gonna rock 10 miles an hour up this mountain. I don't feel like breaking anything. I just wanna get home. So definitely, especially because the truck is wounded from not having the fuel pump. So I'm gonna take it easy and just let it do its thing. There's a car behind me, poor guy. He's gotta sit at 9 miles an hour. The funny thing is I pulled out, and as I pulled out and got into second, I saw him coming up from behind me, so whoops. I don't know if the camera's gonna do it justice, but that is a pretty steep hill coming up. I think I have one more and then it should all be downhill from there, I hope, but damn. Should have went the other way. Okay, so we're going down the mountain now. Apparently you can't pull it out of 4 low while it's moving, even with the clutch in. I got down to like 2 miles an hour and it kind of made a thunking noise when it came out. So now we know, don't do that again. Truck's over 21,000 gross weight, reduced gear, yeah. 15 mile an hour around this corner. Woo, what a day. Y'all ever hear anti-lag on a 12 valve? It makes cool poppy noises when it runs out of fuel. Oh, she's on fire again. Ain't the first time. Ain't gonna be the last. Look at that. So, got the fuel turned back on. Oh man. Let's go over it. Chains are good. Tires still good. That sucked. Cool. We're rolling. I turned the fuel on. So, can't wait to fix this sump issue. It'll gain a little bit of power. Then we won't have to worry about it stalling. I was coming down the mountain and I went to hit the throttle. I'm like, oh, she died. I'm like, all right, whatever. Not a big deal. Mountain number 2. This sucks. Oh, we're creeping. 9 mile an hour. We came around that corner and tried to put it in second. That shit bogged right the hell down. So we're crawling first. Basically, if I would have put it in low, I'd be in third. But there's a dump truck behind me that the same thing happened to him, is what it is. This is a steep one. It's putting a damper on me getting home. And I would have been home if I would have just taken the long route. Let's put it that way. All right, so as you guys saw, I don't know if you guys saw actually, one of the mud flaps came off, so I took them both off. And then now we're over here working on the filler neck. So we have our fitting right there. And we're gonna run that the correct way. Straight into that guy down there. So, as opposed to having like a bunch of different fittings and whatnot. So it's just not gonna work out that way. So, doing that now, and then I will wire in the fuel sump. That'll be done, and then just gonna have to take my word for it because we got this gauge working. I went and grabbed for my storage unit, I had a spare harness for that. So that's done. So now we're gonna start throwing this stuff back together because I feel like this video is getting too long already. All right, so we got this all back in. You can see there's one nice clean line. I will replace the on-off lever eventually. We're just using a vice grip for it now. And then if you guys can see that, you'd never know it's there. So that's done. Now we're gonna work on the sump after dinner. All right, as you can see, we got the new line on. She's running. So it's one hard line all the way from the sump to the pump. So there's what we're idling at. Sweet. That's pretty much gonna do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next one. Have a good one.